I was here at the library for about 34 years, and I've seen so many changes that this library has gone through. It's grown to be such a incredibly vibrant community role that compared to when we first started way back in the old library and at the Civic Center.
I've been working at the library since 1985. I started off in the old library, and here you see me in the old library. So the first thing that was very outstanding about the old library was it was right next door to the Civic Center, and we were open Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 1 to 9, and at 7 o'clock every night that we were open late, you'd hear the movie going and you'd smell the smell of popcorn for the whole 2 hours.
I have a very fond and loving memory. It was when the library was there in the Civic Center, and I was a new mom, and I would bring my son to story time, and just how delighted he was. He would jump up and down and, just be thrilled with whatever the story was.
So I've used the library all of my life. When we moved into Nelson from out of town when I was 6 or 7, and we lived in a house that was near the old library in the Civic Center. And actually one of my best memories of that time in that house, before my parents bought the house they live in now, was walking to the library with my mom and feeling like it was, I was the most special person on the planet because I got to spend time with my mom and get any books I wanted from the library.
Do you like to learn new words through reading? Yeah, we learn lots of new words when we read books at the library.
When we started the Mother Goose program, so parents were bringing them in as babies, and then they sort of graduated up to toddler time, and then they graduated to story time, and then it was after school programs, and then now I was here long enough that I actually could see those kids as parents bring their own kids back to the library and share. And to me, that was like, okay, we played such an essential role in their lives, and they'll be readers for the rest of their lives, I hope.
I think my story about the library begins because it was a way for me to first connect with other parents, and when she was just not even able to read. And then the library became a place where we were able to connect and enjoy time with other families too. And now a place where we can go and connect through reading stories together and spending time together.
I used the library to further my own interests and find information on topics that my parents didn't have books on at home, and it was great to have a place that I didn't feel self-conscious about the interests that I had, where I felt like I could really, there was no topic that was off limits, and that was really empowering. And that was in the time before the internet. And then I went on to study literature at university, and I'm sure the Nelson Library played some role in my interest and still am an avid reader today, and bring my kids to the library to story times, and now I give them those special trips to the library with mom. And it's been a major part of my life.
I'm 14 years old, and I love the library. It's given me a lot of contacts and a lot of people that I have met that I really enjoy spending time with. And it allows me to do a lot of things in the community that I wouldn't do otherwise. Going to the book club with Melody Ray and just all the different things that Melody Ray has offered in the teen programs, that was a lot of fun. When I was in middle school, going to the teen programs after school, like every week. And now she's connected us through a couple of different people to the Old Growth magazine. And that's a lot of fun to do photography and writing pieces for that.
I know in high school, my friends and I would come here after school to do homework and to visit and to hang out. And it was kind of, when I was growing up, there wasn't a lot of places for teenagers to go in Nelson. There wasn't like a hangout spot or anything like that. So the library was a really nice, if we weren't quite ready to say goodbye after school and go home, the library was a great spot to come and visit and hang out and read together and work together and that kind of thing.
And the library, for me, became a part of how I came to Nelson and became part of this community. When we first came here, about a dozen years ago, the library was going through some big changes. They had expanded. There was a new referendum. They were trying to expand the community involvement in the library. And I got involved. I became a trustee. And it really, I had never done anything quite like that before. In Toronto, I just went to work, came home, didn't get involved. Here, I became part of Nelson, and it was through the library.
I am relatively new to Nelson and Canada. And when we moved here 15 years ago, I wanted to learn as much about Canada and its culture and history and humor and everything as I could. So I started using the library. And of course, the little maple leaves on the binding make that part easy.
When I first came to the Nelson Library, I just moved out of Trail from a rehab for chemotherapy problems. And I came to Nelson and I became a member. And I went, wow, so much niceness. And I become a part of the library. So much people here told me, even the librarians told me, it's my living room.
So every day we're making those, we're asking ourselves, is this accessible? So whether it's the physical space, making sure people can move around freely and comfortably in it, our policies that we work with the library board and with staff, we're asking ourselves, you know, is our collection accessible? Are we getting the right stuff? Are we representing our community? So it's just wonderful working in a profession that gets to provide that service, and we get to ask ourselves those questions every day.
Now, one of the things I want to talk about that might be a little different than a lot of people going to the library is I was homeless for 15 months. Not enough income, and rooms were going for $1,000, and you know, my whole check was $700. So during those 15 months, I stayed at people's places, I stayed at the homeless shelter. But where do you go? You have to leave those homes, no matter what. No matter how nice people are, you have to leave. You leave in the day. So where do you go when you don't have money? Where do you go as a woman to be safe? Where do you go to spend time to be cool? The library offers an incredible oasis of safety for people. It is one of the few places around that you can be that you are not required to have money. And knowing that I can just sit there and I don't have to spend any money that I don't have in the middle of wintertime to keep warm, or in the hot summertime to keep cool. You know, so it's not just books, it's compassion, it's safety, it's something for everyone.
From my own personal Indigenous ancestry, institutions are kind of scary, and so it doesn't matter what the institution is, it takes me a little bit to get across the threshold. But I was invited to do some things here at the library in the last couple of years, and one of them was doing the blanket exercise, and I couldn't believe how beautiful and comfortable this place was and all the things that they did.
I came into the library with an idea, and that was to connect to my role as a social justice oriented teacher. I wanted to find ways to extend the learning that my students were enjoying out into the community. And so I brought an idea, and it was fairly unclear at that point what it could turn into. But I really appreciated how the Nelson Library was open to the conversation and brainstorming together to think about how we might collaborate as an in-school educator with an organization that's clearly committed to learning in all its forms.
Library is very important to me and my community, even though I'm one of the few people in British Columbia, I believe it's less than 4% who have to pay to join the library because my area, Area E, did not vote to fund the library, which I think is wrong. I like books best, but you can still get movies and DVDs and all that kind of stuff, and you can work on the computer there because I'm not online at home. So, and the librarians will help you do all that if they're not too busy. So it's a great place. It's wonderful.
Also, you guys have ukuleles to borrow, which is fantastic because I got a little ukulele book as a gift recently, but I wasn't able to use it until now. So making music accessible to everyone is a really wonderful thing.
And I like the idea of what the library is doing now. When you order up food, you have takeout for the body. Here you come in, get your takeout for the mind and the soul.
When COVID happened, we weren't allowed to come and browse, and in desperation I phoned the library, and because I was coming to pick up a hold, and I said, I can't, without being able to browse, we don't know what to get anymore. And Helen, the librarian, took it on and brought this amazing, curated, perfect stack of books for my son. And he was so excited when he opened them up. So I love the library and I love Helen.
If anything, I would say I think the most valuable role of the library in the future is to actually continue to give people a historical perspective on what's happened in our past. And that's something that I currently use the library for a lot. With current events going on, I'm currently reading on the French Revolution. And where did I turn to? The Nelson Library to get myself a great book.
I imagine the idea that you could virtually travel anywhere as though you were really there, with the tactile, the smells, the sounds, the tastes, everything, without, I don't know what it would look like, but the library would help it happen. And then we wouldn't have the footprint of plane travel. You could just go to your library and go on a safari or hike in New Zealand
But I could definitely see in the future things will shift. Books might not necessarily be as popular as they are now. They might become more obsolete. But I think it will always stay a place to get together and share information, whether that's through the future of computers and virtual reality. But I think it will always have that same core idea.
With this kind of foundation, who knows what the possibilities are? When I look at the colors in here, the libraries I grew up with didn't look like this. And you couldn't say very much when you were in there. So, we have changed to address humankind. And I would say that they're very kind to humans.